My beautiful sister, I want you to know that if you are called to serve the kingdom, as in the kingdom of heaven, you are agreeing to partner with the greatness, okay? You are partnering with the great I am, with the Prince of Peace, the Lord of Lords, the King of Kings, my dear. That's an exciting thing to realize when you begin to build for the kingdom. However, there is always a dark side, even to following after Jesus, which means when you agree to partner with greatness, you're agreeing to a life of being ridiculed, of being judged, of being largely misunderstood by the very people you were called to transform, okay? But don't lose heart, okay? Take heart actually in the fact that when you partner with greatness, your faith, your obedience, your discipline, your loyalty to God, to following after Him diligently, no matter what people say, is making you whole, okay? Your faith is making you whole. Welcome back to another installment of Struggles of a Faith Walk here at Healed Woman. I am your host, Samara, and today we are talking about something that is very near and dear to my heart, as many things on this channel are, and that is what to do when you face opposition, okay? But first, we got to get through our introduction. For the new subscribers, if you're OG, you're locked and loaded in the right place. But for those who are new, welcome. You are on fire, or if you are here, it means that the Lord led you here and you're on fire for two things, as we are here at the Healed Woman community. First, we are dedicated to becoming women of extraordinary faith, worth, and valor, okay? And two, we are overcoming toxic mindsets as it relates to love and dating through Christ-centered recovery. So as I said, today we are tackling what to do when you're facing opposition in saying yes to God. This is something that I have faced many times in my faith walk, many times in taking my faith seriously. I realized I was up against a lot more than I thought I would be by saying yes, or by going with the grain instead of going against the grain, okay? So in the beginning, I said, when you say yes to God, yes, there are many things that change in your life that are beautiful, but there are also a lot of things that change that may make you question if this is the path you're supposed to be on. I want to tell you something when facing opposition or when walking with God. Facing opposition is inevitable, okay? Let that sink in. It means that it is bound to happen, okay? By going against the grain, by going upstream, by deciding to follow after God, you are saying yes in a world full of no's. You are saying yes in a society where, yes, it may be publicly acceptable to live out your faith, but people will always be judging you for that, okay? People will not understand. There is a verse in the Bible that says the darkness can't even comprehend the light, okay? And this is not in a condescending way. This is in a factual way, okay? Literally, if you are living in darkness, you can't even stand to see the light. You can't even comprehend how something could be so bright, how something could shine and pierce through the darkness, okay? So it is no small realization, okay, that you are going to be shining in some really dark places, that you will be facing spiritual opposition, that you will be climbing uphill and journeying against, or, rather turning your back to the crowd in following after Jesus, okay? So I really want to stress, and this is something that I say all the time, but it's so true. When God called you, honey, it wasn't a conference call, okay? It was not a call that everyone was present or everyone was privy to, okay? He called you. He chose you. He pulled you out, okay? He called you out by name, which means he singled you out and said, my daughter, my son, I have an assignment with your name on it, and I need you to follow after me to get it done, okay? Not everyone was privy to that information. Not everyone has the vision. Not everyone received the same vision that you received, okay? Even people in the faith receive different visions. We're called to build different parts of the body. And so even a believer might not understand your faith journey, okay? It is unique to you. Not everyone was privy to that information, so you cannot possibly expect people to understand, much less support the vision that God gave you specifically, okay? And in you trying to find or trying to garner people's approval, okay? Living for Christ is not a life where you will be approved by many, okay? You really just need God's approval, okay? You don't need man's approval. We don't live by man's approval when we say yes to God. All we need is God's confirmation, God's approval, okay? God's directions and instructions. We cannot wait for people. We can't sit around and wait for people to become comfortable with our faith walk. We can't sit around and wait for people to understand, to support, to give their endorsement to our faith moves, okay? Do you hear me right now? When you are called to build for the kingdom, you're going to make some bold faith moves. You're going to be called to make some bold faith moves for the kingdom, which means you're going to be stepping out, waiting for provision to meet you on the other side. You're going to God's going to tell you to move in ways that you will literally have to take that first step for the next one to come up under you, okay? You are and these are things I have literally experienced, my dear, where the Lord was like, I want you to take a trip, and I had $200 in my bank account, and he made a way where you are not going to, you're going to have to make decisions that are not going to make sense at the time. But as you say yes, as you commit, as you decide to not wait for people's approval or comfort in your faith journey, you will continue moving in the way that God has called you, which is why it is so important you understand that not everyone was on that call, honey. So not everyone's going to understand the magnitude of the vision planted inside of you, which is why it is essential to your spiritual evolution that you surround yourself with people who are visionaries. You have to surround yourself with people who have vision, who understand the magnitude of a God-sized vision, of a God-sized dream, okay? You cannot surround yourself with people who have no vision for themselves, much less who have not received divine vision from the Lord, much less people who have never been called to make bold faith moves. They will simply not understand the way that you move through this earth, okay? They will not understand that you live above systems, earthly systems on the earth, okay? You live according to a heavenly system. We live according to a heavenly system here. So things that don't make sense here on earth, they make sense in heaven, and God is actively making a way for them to make sense here on earth. And so by you waiting for people to become comfortable, you are squandering the very faith God is trying to build in you. Okay, this is a real struggle of a faith walk here. We have real talk here on this channel because it is not a cakewalk. Okay, a faith walk is not a cakewalk. But it doesn't mean that you are not equipped or currently being equipped to handle all that's going to come about on this faith walk when you say yes to God, when you say, yes, you have your way. I am a yielded vessel. You can fill me and pour me out as you need on this earth. And so it's so important that you realize you got to hang up on some people, honey. Seriously, you got to put the phone down on some people calling you out, saying that this isn't how you're supposed to live. This isn't the way. This isn't conventional. This isn't traditional. This isn't how things are done. Of course not. You live for a different kingdom. It's not how things are done in heaven, okay? We're bringing heaven down to earth, especially if you're called to be a queen, especially if you're walking in your healed mentality as a healed woman, honey. You are called to literally embody the essence of heaven and bring it down to earth, okay? For your husband, for your family, for the people you are called to as destiny helpers, people who are called to your path who you will impact through building for the kingdom. Okay, there's a lot when you say there's a lot attached to your yes. Your yes has weight. Your yes to God has weight, as in like physical weight. And it is imperative that you understand every yes that you continue to give God is going to be met with opposition. It is going to be met with opposition. So when you begin to face spiritual opposition, that's really just an indicator, a very normal and healthy indicator that you're on God's path, that you're on the right path He wants you on, that you're on the straight and narrow, come on, that you're going upstream for the kingdom, that you are kingdom bound, okay, upward bound. It's not going to make sense for people who spend their whole life looking at the plane around them, looking at this horizontal plane. Your vertical way of life is not going to make sense. You focusing on your position and ignoring your earthly circumstance is not going to make sense, okay? You saying that you are meant to build for the kingdom, yet your life is in shambles, doesn't make sense to people around you. And of course, if your life is in shambles, God is currently breaking you down to build you back up. But you're so grounded in your heavenly identity that you're like, it doesn't matter what my circumstances look like. I have a promise. I'm living out a promise. I am a walking miracle because God promised me He was going to rebuild me, renew me, restore me, and that I was going to continue to build for the kingdom despite what my circumstances look like right now. If you are called to build, you already know the path is one that you are blazing by yourself. Okay, it is not a path, it's unprecedented. You're doing unprecedented things when you build for the kingdom. You're doing things that no one around you is doing. No one around you is building the way you're building. And so you're facing opposition. Come on, Noah. The story of Noah, that story comes to mind, and we'll talk about that in a minute. You are literally on the path you're supposed to be on, and opposition is just confirmation. Because imagine if you were going with the crowd, you don't face any opposition, you're going with the grain, you're going with the energy moving in that direction. But we all know that the path, I don't want to condemn people and say the path to hell, okay? But the path to destruction is wide and broad, okay? Everyone's going that way. A large group of people are going that way. So of course it's easy for the current to carry you downstream. It takes courage, it takes vision, and it takes discipline to go against the crowd, against the flow of current going downstream. We're swimming upstream, hun. Upstream, okay? So I want you to take heart in that fact that opposition is just confirmation that you are yielded to the King of Kings, and he is using that season of opposition or that current circumstance, because it is bound to happen, to strengthen you, to strengthen that faith like a mustard seed, to build you up for the kingdom so you can turn around and do the same for someone else who's currently fighting their way upstream, that you can pull them up and say, I see you, I've been where you've been, let me help you. Let me teach you how to face opposition with grace and tact. Let me teach you how to continue to transform the world and not conform to their standards, not conform to their way of living, okay? You are going against the grain in everything. You are countercultural in everything when you face opposition, okay? I think a lot of people try to, especially early on in their faith journey, try to validate their faith journey by seeking, other people's opinions, or, it's not wrong to seek wisdom, okay? Definitely not wrong to seek wisdom or counsel, but it has to be from a trusted spiritual leader. Because anyone else, especially people who do not share the vision or do not understand heavenly visions, are always going to try to dissuade you, to discourage you from pursuing the thing God placed on your heart. And so you are searching for answers, okay? You're searching for meaning, for something to help you understand why you're facing so much opposition. And then you go to people who are probably going to, discourage you from even pursuing what God has called you to pursue. So it matters, again, who you surround yourself with and who you seek out for godly counsel, because that could be the difference between you pursuing or you allowing yourself to be, just pulled downstream. And so, I don't want to say that you need to validate, your faith journey. You really only need God's approval. You really only need God's approval and possibly advice from trusted spiritual counselors or spiritual leaders to continue to feed, okay, nurture the seed, okay, nurture the seed that God has planted. You don't need to validate your faith journey by looking at other people. Your faith journey is unique to you. You don't need to validate your faith moves based on what has been done before. Every major kingdom player in the Bible had a completely different calling. Yes, it built the same Christ-like characteristics in them, but they had a completely different calling. Moses was not called to build an ark. Noah was not called to free the Israelites, okay? You know what I mean? Like, they had completely different assignments. Their faith walks look different, okay? And so it's imperative that you don't even compare yourself to other people of the faith, because inevitably your faith journey is unique to you. Your assignment is unique to you. Possibly in purposeful partnership, you may have unity in that way, where you all may have been called to similar assignments, and now the Lord is bringing you all together to partner, divinely in carrying out the next step in that assignment. But even purpose partners have distinct assignments before they are brought together, okay? So that's something to keep in mind as well. Remember, you do not need man's approval on this journey, okay? And that's something I really wanted you all to understand. So what can we do? Instead of worrying about facing opposition, you really need to focus on growing your obedience, okay? In spite of opposition, okay? It is very easy to want to give up. It is very easy to want to throw in the towel, to give in, to, put aside, your faith, or it is very easy to kill a seed or to kill a vision in seed form. Very easy to kill a dream, a vision, ambition in seed form, which is why you have to let the obedience grow, let the faith grow, let the discipline mature, okay? Let yourself mature, spiritually mature, before God can even deploy you, before he can even, place you, appoint you where you need to be to fulfill that assignment. And even when you are placed, you will still face opposition. I need you all to understand this. Opposition is just part of the game, my dear. It is part of the game. And so you will always be facing some sort of opposition. It may not be like earth-shattering, or it may not be enough to physically restrain you from pursuing God's plan for your life, But you will always have people who will not understand nor support, and you've got to find a way to weed those suckers out, okay? You've got to really ask the Lord to separate the wheat from the tares, to really separate you from people who are threatening, your spiritual evolution. Ask the Lord, and he may not always remove you. He may not always remove you because in opposition, honey, things are growing. Resistance, endurance, okay? Stamina. Things that you will need for the journey, okay? Things that you will need to thrive and prosper and grow. So instead of, asking God to remove you from that storm, from that opposition, from that challenge, ask him, how can I grow in the midst of it, in spite of it? How can I continue to grow in what you've called me to do, and to continue to be that light in the face of opposition? And maybe I might help bring a soul to Jesus Christ. I might help win souls for the kingdom just by continuing to stand firm and to be steadfast. So I really want you all to let that sink in, because you are called to be a light, hon. God's not going to dim your light in darkness. He's going to make you shine brighter. He's going to shine brighter through you. You will be surrounded by darkness so that you can shine. Come on, Holy Spirit. So that you can shine. It's not for you to dim and blend in with the darkness. It's for you to shine so bright they can't even comprehend how someone like you is still standing in spite of opposition, okay? Obedience will save your life. Obedience is a difference between life and death. We know that spiritual life and death, but it could be physical as well. Obedience will save your life. God is going to give you an assignment much bigger than you can even fathom. And by you saying yes, you are agreeing to partner with the life-saving force, the truth and the life, okay? We mentioned that in the beginning, that when you partner with greatness, you've got winners on your side. You've got angelic warriors protecting you, which is why God may not remove you from the opposition, because you're protected in the opposition. No one can touch you. You are surrounded by divine help, divine guides, the Holy Spirit, a present help. You're never alone in your opposition, though it may feel like it. You are always protected. And by obeying, continuing to push and to endure and to remain steadfast, okay, your protection is hedged around you, and you will prevail, okay? You will succeed in whatever he's called you to do, okay? You don't need to know how you're going to do it. You just need to know that you can. Through the power of the Holy Spirit, you can do what he has called you to do, okay? So I mentioned earlier, and I wanted to draw a brief connection between the story of Noah and how many of God's sons and daughters have been or will be called to build an ark, okay, a spiritual ark. So you're called to your ark season, Noah season. And so we all know in the story of Noah, he was called to build something that there was no concept of prior to his existence, okay? In Noah's time, there was no concept of rain, okay? And so the Lord is like, I want you to build an ark that's going to protect you against floods. And he's thinking, what are floods? What is rain, okay? I believe dew used to come up and water the earth, before the first flood or before the first rainfall back then, like, what, BC, okay? Before Christ roamed the earth, okay? Noah didn't even know how to build the ark, okay? He had no idea, which is why there are such detailed instructions, about this measurement and that measurement and this type of wood and all this, because the Lord was literally like, I'm going to show you how to build this thing, because it has to come to pass, okay? You need to be saved so that my glory can be shown through your story, so that my goodness, my promise can be, shown through you, exemplified through you, through your obedience. And it will literally save your life. So I need you to build it in a specific way that can house animals 2 by 2, that can house your family 2 by 2. God always has a divine plan as to why he tells you to do things in a specific way. And so many of us are called to build in this season when there's no concept of things that we're building for, okay? That's where I was going with this. Like, thank you, Holy Spirit. Many of us are called to build in ways that there is no concept of reign. There is no concept of kingdom marriages. There is no concept of purposeful partnership, in the world. In the kingdom, we know these things exist. But we're bringing new concepts to the world. We're bringing, new ideas and new ways of living to the world, and they are in darkness and they do not understand these concepts. And so we're thinking, Lord, this doesn't make sense. I will be ridiculed. I will be mocked. I will be judged and misunderstood. And the Lord is saying your obedience is going to save your life. Your obedience to me, to every single detailed instruction on how to build this ark, build this business, build this ministry, is going to save your life. It will prosper you. My glory will be exemplified through you. And you will be able to live to tell the tale that the Lord told me to build something before it made sense, before it was required. But when the appointed time came, my God, I was safe, shut in the ark. The door was closed. It could not be opened, okay? That season where the Lord opens doors that no man can shut, and the reverse, he shuts doors that no man can open. And I wonder how many of us are being diligent in that preparation season, in that obedience season, in that ark season, knowing that a flood is coming, knowing that the rains are going to come down and the floods are going to come up. And he faced opposition, ridiculed for building, okay? I'm not even sure if he was ridiculed by his own family. I don't think so. I think that was maybe the story of Job, where his friends didn't understand what was happening to him and tried to convince him otherwise, try to convince him to curse God and die, or his wife or whatever. But in the story of Noah, he was diligent. He was obedient in spite of the opposition. And so that's something that I kind of wanted to share on my own personal journey, okay? Building Healed Woman felt like I was going against the grain. It felt like, this doesn't make sense for me to build a ministry right now, Lord. I need to be working. I need to be grinding. I need to be doing other things. Like, this cannot be my entire vocation right now. And he said, no, my daughter, it will be. I will sustain you in the building. I will sustain you in the opposition. You don't think I faced opposition on this journey? Okay, people not understanding me going into full-time ministry, my family not understanding, not to call them out, but not everyone, even your family, is going to understand your faith journey. And you have to be able to, even in familial circles, even in your close inner circles, you're going to have to not ignore, but you're going to have to filter out some opinions, even from trusted loved ones. You're going to have to filter some opinions. You're not going to be able to listen to everyone's opinion, because you're going to realize not everyone has your best interest at heart. If they really loved you, they would not try to dissuade you from doing the thing God has called you to do. Not to say that they don't love you, but they do not understand. And that cannot be where you go to die. People's opinions. You cannot die living for people's opinions. You cannot allow the faith seed to die waiting for people's opinions or approval of what you're doing. Had I waited on people's approval to start this ministry, to build this channel, to activate inner queens, it never would have happened. Never would have happened. And so, of course, this topic is very near and dear to me because I am actively facing opposition, but I am guarded. I am protected. Okay, I am divinely provided for, and I'm about my Father's business. And God takes care of his children. He does. So if your opposition in this season is financial, okay, where you feel like you're up against the wall, you have no idea how you're about to pay rent right now, you have no idea how you're about to fund this business, God is taking care of you. Provision is on the way. If your opposition is people's opinions, where people are actively trying to dissuade you or discourage you from pursuing God's will for your life, God is saying, trust me, and continue to build that ark. Provision is on the way. If your opposition is spiritual, where you are being spiritually attacked in this season, where it has been a relentless, pursuit of your soul, of your energy, of your devotion to God, you are divinely protected. You have angels warring on your behalf, okay? Employ your angels, okay? Start calling out the name of the Holy Spirit to help you every time that you feel that literal demonic pressure, okay? If you've been feeling it, you know what I'm talking about. Where you literally feel the physical weight of the opposition. Maybe as you're sleeping, maybe as you're driving, maybe as you're meditating, you can't focus, your mind is everywhere but on the Holy Spirit. These are signs, that's a reason, okay? Or these are signs that you are facing spiritual opposition, spiritual warfare. It may be time to fast and pray. It may be time to fast and pray. Go into a season of fasting and praying, however long the Lord calls you into that, so that you can begin to break off those that demonic weight and continue to advance in the kingdom, okay? So I really want to equip you all, with how to face this opposition spiritually, how to attack it in the physical, how to start weeding out people's opinions from truth, okay? You only need God's truth to continue on this journey, my dear. You only need to answer one call. That's really powerful. You only need to answer one call. You do not owe anyone else a conference call of the version of the call God gave you, okay? You don't need to call up everyone and tell them this is what God told you to do. No. Move in silence, honey. Move in silence. Move, as quiet as water. And then, when the floods come, it will speak for itself. It will speak for itself, okay? I pray this blessed you all. I pray that you all were able to glean something from this message. I pray that if you are facing opposition right now, you're not alone, okay? God is with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you, okay, my dear? So take heart in the opposition. It's just confirmation, my dear. You're right where you need to be, okay? So I will see you all next week for our future installment of Struggles of a Faith Walk. And with that, I will see you on the other side of obedience. So stay blessed, my beautiful sister.